Feel safe, feel secure. ATA Security.
Cead míle fáilte 100,000 welcomes to Irish Paint Magic.
Ireland, my Ireland.
For 10 years, Irish Paint Magic has graced the broadcasting landscape. Dave Willis has painted many seascapes, landscapes, forestries, and imparted a wealth of forgotten Irish history to the TG4 viewers. Dave Willis tells us his story.
My earliest memory growing up in Cork, I was born in Mallow, and I grew up in a very Republican family, and my mother had a pub and grocery business, and really it was people coming in to meet my dad and having a few jars around the pub and all the activity be in the shop at home, my mother bustling around and all that. Really, I could go back into my childhood, but my eldest memories would have been, and the happiest ones, were in the pub when where I was born. And the other memories that I loved was, it was in a flooded area, and the streets would flood. Not every winter, but every second or third winter, and sometimes maybe twice a year. And the excitement of not going to school because the flood was rising. "35 Bridge Street, that I was born. Inside that window up there, just inside that window I was born. All those years ago. It's not in the Willis hands anymore, but the story lives on and our memories live on. But in those days you could play on the streets. Obviously you can't do that now. It's you can't even look across the road now, you get the nose taken off you. But this is where I was born. All my family were painters and decorators. Going back to my father's, mother's, father and uncles, grandparents, and back beyond them were all painters. They'd done very artistic work in churches and things like that. They would have done the gilding and the stenciling, the staining, the marbling. And I was one of the last of my generation. I was very lucky because when I was serving an apprenticeship to the decorating trade, I was one of the very last to pick up all those skills. They seem to go out of fashion for a while. It's nice to see them back again now because they're highly appreciated now. But I was one of the last to get all those skills. I was very lucky to learn the sign writing, the gilding, painting, marbling and graining and all that. I used to do all that kind of stuff. I painted that sign 55 years ago.
A long time ago now.
And it's still there, and you won't, what you say?
I won't take it off.
You won't move it. And you're not superstitious, you're
no,
proud of it.
No, I'm not. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it.
That's your daily, wasn't it?
That's your daily.
That's right, yeah. Here I am where my painting and artistic career started. It is actually approximately 50 or 55 years ago when I first came in here to meet a fantastic and wonderful painter, or a teacher called Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown encouraged me in the world of art, in the world of painting. I used to come here as an apprentice here on these desks along here as an apprentice painter and decorator for sign writing, and other apprentices used to be here, but he was a great man to encourage a student. He went on and he would always say to me, Dave, he says, you'll travel the world because you're so fast. And what he meant was I was fast at the sign writing, I was very quick.
I was in London at the time, and I was coming to Ireland on holiday. So we came to Mallow, and I went to a dance in Mallow, and I met this fellow. And he said he knew me in London. He knew me in London, and I said, no, I didn't know him. We used to go to the same dance I used to go to, but I didn't know him. So that's where I met him, and we continued there. And when we went back to London, he went back, and we took up from there, and we were married in London.
Yeah, I had 2 children, a boy and a girl. The boy worked with me for a short while in the decorating. It wasn't for him, and he went his own way. And the girl, she just went on for secretarial work and all that kind of stuff, and is still doing secretarial work. But I have a lot of grandchildren, and I'm even a great grandfather now at the moment. So life moves on, but my son went on to drive buses. That's all he ever seemed to want to do, was drive. Even when I used to take him fishing, all he wanted to do was drive the engine up and down the lake and no fishing. But he was addicted to driving, and he's still driving. He's driving all over Ireland and up to Scotland and over to London and a place that I have coach driving. And that's what he does. But my daughter is still involved, secretarial work and all that type of thing. So no, none of them followed me in the business. I suppose I didn't go into politics. I was born into politics. Like I said earlier, my dad was very involved in the War of Independence and would be very, very well known in this area. But he served as a local councillor for, well, about 30 years, I'd imagine. And then a brother of mine Dick went on then to be another councillor for a while after him. And then I went on, when he packed it up, I went forward myself for office in the local council, and I served for over 20 years. So I really didn't go into it. I was kind of born into it from the very first day that I understood language. I'd have been involved in politics because it was always in my home.
He always loved fishing, and I'd say the fishing now was put on the back burner for a while he took up the painting. But then again, he was busy with the painting, so I think that he's kind of go back to the fishing again. And he's always saying he'd go up to the Mayfly up in Uachtarard, and every year he never has time. So the year he did have time and he went up, it was a bad year for him because he didn't catch anything.
People ask me where I get my inspiration for painting, but I'm lucky, or any artist in Ireland is so lucky to have so much, an abundance of scenery. Ireland, no matter where you go, get off at the main motorways and get down into the real heart of the country, and there's scenes everywhere you go. You have abbeys, you have castles, and every one of them has a story. Every single one of them has a story. So if you look at our history and all the turmoil that happened over our history, it's still there in front of your eyes. Just look at the old derelict buildings around you. Look at the old abbeys. Look at the old castles that were destroyed. And why were they destroyed? You have to ask those questions. There's a history and a story behind it. This is exactly now where I would teaching studio here, and here I would give a demonstration here, and the students then would if I would do the sky, they go away and down and they'd do the sky, and I would correct it for them if they went wrong or whatever. And then we would get into sea, and then we get into cliff face and the different values in the painting, which is like the furthest away value, like, and there's no detail, a little bit stronger detail as you come closer, and as you come closer here, then you can see, because it's closer, you have all the growth and everything like that on the canvas. So this would be just easy enough to put on with a knife. This is all done with a knife, and of course, naturally enough, the cliff face and the fisherman. Very important to have something to draw your eye into the painting, and this, by putting a foreground here over this side, it pushes everything back. But this studio is just for teaching. Now, these are my grandchildren.
Not you.
First one is Abby. She's a beautiful girl, isn't she? All going back to school. Did you go back to school today?
Yesterday.
Yesterday, oh, very good. And this is Jack, and he's a mad United supporter, a Liverpool supporter, and he had been over to Liverpool last weekend, was it?
Yeah.
You went on over and you had a great time, and Liverpool drew, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, why didn't they win?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, yeah. And this is Mike, my son-in-law, Mike. And what shall I have? There's Alan is inside, he didn't come out.
He's asleep.
Is he sleeping? Yeah, so we have more. But anyway, that's part of the gang anyway. I took it up seriously enough. I was interested. But then again, when I was doing church work, reproducing, some of the church work would have artistic stuff, and I would have been upgrading some of that. So it was only I got into bad health, and I had to have major heart surgery. And then I had to pack up all my business after that. I still had paint in my blood, and I decided to take up art, painting pictures and things like that. I would have had the flair but didn't have the time. I decided I would take up painting, and I went to London and I took a couple of levels of teaching the wet and wet system. It was Bill Alexandra method of painting, wet and wet. Some people would call it a Bob Ross thing, but it's actually Bill Alexandra that invented that system. But I wasn't interested in that. I was only interested in the system, and I turned it right around to suit Ireland.
Oh, he didn't think it would work. Dave laughed at the idea.
And that was generally because me and him were cracking a joke beforehand.
Ireland, my Ireland, oh, I'm coming home. Though I roam, shall my heart never left her. Lo and behold, I forgot to paint the sky.
Feel safe, feel secure. ATA Secured. Feel safe, feel secure. ATA Secured.
David Willis mun paint tedachta Irish Paint Magic.
Céad míle fáilte, 100,000 welcomes to Irish Paint Magic. Today I'm going to do an oval scene of sepia, which is like your old great-grandfather's photograph.
Brenda, my wife, and I used to watch a program called The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross on a satellite channel. And on one occasion, Brenda got the name of somebody in London. So she checked them out, and from there managed to get Dave Willis' number and phoned him and asked him to come to Dublin to do a class. She organised a class of 10 people, and he came to Dublin, I think it was sometime in the late 90s, and the class was held in Rollstown, Swords. It was one of the very early meetings we had with Dave. The suggestion arose that we should try and make it into a program for television. Brenda agreed to contact RTE after, of course, Dave Willis agreed that he would do it.
They inspired me because I had to. They were telling me there was something in it. They could see something in me that had a future in television and all that. And of course, I was only laughing at him. So Paul got me. I think I'd done a few workshops up there around Swords or somewhere up around there. But anyway, they asked me then, you know, would we do a series? And I said I didn't think it would work. But eventually, I remember getting a phone call from Brenda to say that TG4 were going to run a pilot of 6 programs.
The first televised program went out on Brenda's birthday, the 26th of March 2002 at 7:30 in the evening.
I was quite anxious because a lot of people here, it hit the press down around the local press here and around the Malloy area and the North Cork area, and you know, you would be wondering if it would be a success or not. And but it was. A lot of people, I remember the very first program I'd done was an opal sepia, and it was like an old photograph in the dark brown colours, and they all thought it was off my game because they didn't know what I was doing for most of the program. But then when it all came together in the evening, and I pulled off the contact paper and it showed an oval scene mounted with nice stencils and all that, it was a different thing, and there was huge interest in that program from there on. So it ran for 6 weeks. And here we are now. This program now, I don't know, it must be some kind of a record for a one-man show. It's now running 10 years. 10 years is a long time, you know. If you were in jail for 10 years, you'd know about it. But it's a long time to be getting that kind of exposure, though that tells its own story.
I didn't come into Lisbopple Studios until Paint Magic was about Series 5. So, but interestingly, I had seen it on TG4 for a couple of years beforehand. I remember watching Dave, and my perception of him was that he was this doddery old man from Cork, and the paintings and stuff that he used to do, I just found him quite interesting, quite funny. But when I met him in person, and the first time he came down to the studio when we were filming in Lisbopple, he was actually quite a tall man, and you know, quite confident and quite certain. He was nothing like I had. I had pictured him as being almost like, you know, Grandpa Simpson in The Simpsons, you know, that doddery old man telling the stories. But getting to know him over the years, he's a really funny guy. And if we never really record the kind of the outtakes in the recordings of the studio, but if you actually go look at some of the programs, some of the not in the last couple, but some of the early ones, he'd open the scene laughing. And that was generally because me and him were cracking a joke beforehand. But no, I mean, he was a great guy, but completely in contrast to what I had perceived him to be from watching the show to what he is in reality were two different things.
So sit down there now. Thank you. No sympathy for the Cork fella here, you know. And all these strokes now are horizontal. Make the noise. But the paint will jump off the brush fire.
Making of the programs was very quick. Dave was always in a hurry. He was always rushing. In fact, one of my biggest problems was to make sure he took 26 minutes to do a program, because he had the ability to do a painting in 15 minutes. We had to slow him up, and we told him to use small brushes and everything. But these were the learning curves in the early days. But some of the complicated programs he did in the early days, he went over half an hour, so we'd have to cut them back. But that's all in the editing after each program as well.
Well, there was lots of them, but the funniest one I thought I enjoyed was I was halfway through the program, and believe it or not, but I can swear, like, you know, I really can sometimes. And I left the swear out of me and I walked off, and then there was consternation. What the hell is going on? And the thing about it, nobody seemed to spot it. But I was halfway through the paintings and I had my mountains and I was on a lake or something, and lo and behold, I forgot to paint the sky. I had the white medium on, but I forgot to put in the clouds in the sky or whatever. I never thought of it, and nobody spotted it. That, to me, that was a kind of a funny incident. But there was many of them. There was many in the earlier days too. With the mountain lights, people don't seem to realise all the lights. And I had big problems with paint melting. It used to melt the paint, and I was not only melting the paint, but I had like a hard-boiled egg.
I usually, you know, well, I said, it's him the one to see, not me. And I just kind of step backwards. And he loves people to recognise him, and he always has a word for them, you know, and he's always nice, polite, and people are very nice, and they like to see him. They think that he's real, you know, and they can't get over how better he looks in real life than he is on television.
I can tell you that we're having a wonderful night here tonight for David. I think that down through the years he's done great with his 200 exhibitions on the television, and we're all very proud of him. And I just like to, I hope to continue for a long time to come. God bless. That's it.
I think Paint Magic has lasted as long as it has because of Dave. I think it's a very simple format of a show, and the way people receive media now and the quality of programming that's out there now, Paint Magic is quite linear in the sense that it's just a guy on a canvas and he paints, and it's practically real time. And there's very few formats like that now. Very few formats like that would survive now. But Dave, the Paint Magic does because it's him. He is the secret ingredient for this show. And I think it works very well because he's passionate about what he does. It's his hobby. There's no ego about it. He's not in it for making money. He's just purely in it because this is something he loves doing. And that transfers across on camera. And I actually think, you know, with people who are breaking into television these days and people who are currently on television, could learn something from that, in the sense that if you want to have longevity in something, you know, do something you love doing.
Well, David, I think we're all very proud of you and the 200 programs that you made, and may you go on to make many more, and we just love them. Everywhere I go, I think I'm famous myself. They ask me, am I your brother? Sometimes I say yes, and sometimes I say no.
You are my sunshine, I am my sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
I'm very surprised. I didn't know anything much about what's happening here tonight until I came in. But anyway, I'm delighted to be here and say hello to everybody. That's all I have to say. Thanks, David.
It has been absolutely wonderful working with Dave over the last 13 years. And despite the fact of the image he portrays of me on TV, we work well together, and I hope we can continue to work well into the future and do perhaps another 10 or 15 years of Irish Paint Magic.
Ireland, my Ireland, oh, I'm coming home. Though I roam, sure my heart never left her. Oh, the dark rolling sea she's calling to me. Oh, I'm coming back home to Ireland. Ireland, my Ireland, oh, I'm coming home. Though I roam, sure my heart never left her. Oh, the dark rolling sea, she's calling to me. Oh, I'm coming back home to Till we meet again, go to Mila Mahagut, Shlán Let, and God bless you all, my friends.
With a tear in my eye, I will say my last goodbye. For I'm going where the grass it is greener. Out of town, homeward bound, I am leaving today for the land that I've forever dreamed of. Ireland, my Ireland, oh, I'm coming home. Though I roamed, sure my heart never left her. O'er the dark rolling sea, she is calling to me.
Feel safe, feel secure. ATA Security. For 10 years, Irish paint magic has graced the broadcasting landscape. Dave Willis has painted many seascapes, landscapes, forestries, and imparted a wealth of forgotten Irish history to the TG4 viewers. Dave Willis tells us his story.